Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Tech Leaders Launchpad live stream. If this is your first live stream, I'm Andrew Murphy. I'm the founder of Tech Leaders Launchpad, and I do a bunch of things. One of them is these live streams. When I started being a tech leader 15 years ago, there was no resources out there to help me understand what it means to be a tech leader. I was kind of just thrust into the deep end and expected to learn it on the job. And that's one of the reasons why I started Tech Leaders Launchpad. We do a bunch of stuff around training, coaching, and helping tech leaders. And one of them is this live stream where I share the people that I learn from, the people that make me better, the people that I think of as my coaches and my mentors in tech leadership. And one of those is with me today. Andrea, welcome to the live stream.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I always like to start off with an icebreaker question, and the one I've been using that's been getting some interesting answers, and also probably lowering my bank account balance as I incessantly buy the thing that everybody tells me about. Is Andrea, what's your favorite tech gadget that isn't your computer or your smartphone? Tell me about it.
I'm not that a big fan of, surprisingly, maybe because I work with tech leaders, I'm not a big fan of tech gadgets, but I do love my watch. It's a smartwatch. And I appreciate the steps, all the health things. And also I appreciate the alarm. So it vibrates. And it became like I have this for a few years, and my husband too. And his watch doesn't work anymore. And he bought a different one. And we have a big problem because it doesn't vibrate when it rings in the morning. It has a loud sound. And he's the one who wakes up the first. And I told him, look, you need to give back this phone, this watch. Yeah, for me, it doesn't work. And he's like, I'm not giving it back. And I'm like, we need to find a solution. I don't want to wake up earlier. So yeah, it's you appreciate the functionalities only when you miss them.
Yeah, that's interesting. That my wife often says that I just don't get woken up by anything, and yet she's a really light sleeper. So like I can sleep through her alarm completely, but as soon as my alarm goes off, she's awake. It's definitely the cause of some tensions in our relationship.
I think it's the person. Like I always woke up when I heard something. And I had a friend in college and in high school. I had to ring her in the morning and she still wouldn't wake up, like missing exams. And it was really tough for her. And I couldn't understand, but yeah, we are different.
It's just it's different people working in different ways where, the colorful patchwork quilt that is humanity is awesome.
I'm curious, what is the gadget that you bought out of this?
Oh, that's really, oh God. So I do a lot of flying. I'm going to international conferences and doing workshops, and so I'm on a plane a lot. And I was doing a live stream with somebody, and they spoke about basically an augmented reality headset, which the way it works is it shows you a virtual screen in front of you, whichever way your head is positioned. And so perfect when you're on a plane, because you don't need to either use the tiny screen that the airline provides you, that's like 320p, or you don't need to hold your iPad up or put your iPad on the tray table and have neck ache from looking down at it. You can literally sit back in your chair, and the screen is like a virtual screen that's in front of you.
And you watch a movie or
do whatever you want. Watch a movie. You can hook it up to a Nintendo Switch or another games console. Like it's just got a USB-C or a HDMI input, so you can hook it up to anything. You can hook it up to your iPad or your laptop or your gaming console.
I have not heard of this.
Yeah, I hadn't. And then I immediately went down a rabbit hole of researching all the different ones, and you know, which is the best one, because yeah, it's so good when you're on a plane. It makes, it's especially like, you know, living in Australia but having family in Europe. I'm making that trip. I probably fly between Australia and Europe 2 to 3 to 4 times a year, and it's a long flight. You know, it's 24 hours in the air, and
Oh my
so
God.
yeah, it is. It's like one. It's either like a 13, 14 hour flight and then an 8 hour flight plus like a 2 hour layover, and then, you know, if you're going somewhere else in Europe, you've got another 2 or 3 hour flight afterwards. It's you. It's not fun. I just put up with it because I have to put up with it. I don't particularly enjoy the flying. You know, I enjoy the stuff I do once I've finished flying, but
Yeah.
not the
And
being
this
in the
gadget
metal tube.
makes your flight enjoyable. Yeah.
Exactly,
Nice.
exactly. It makes it so much better, so much better. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that as much as I could talk about that for the whole 60 minutes. Where we're here to talk about tech leadership. So,
Yeah.
obviously, one of the reasons, apart from just being an amazing person and an amazing coach, one of the reasons I've kind of asked you to join the live stream is you built out a training course for Tech Leaders Launchpad. The training course you built out was around helping people understand the roles that they have, and how their role might not be what they expected, but also how their role might be different to somebody else with the same job title working in another company. Can you kind of use that as a jumping off point to tell us a little bit about your background and your history, and why that particular training course and that particular topic is something that's really important to you?
Yeah. A bit about myself. I'm a tech lead coach for 4 5 years. I'm not clear. I don't remember exactly. And I've worked in software development for 15 years. I've coded, I've led teams, I've been a tech lead for many, many years. And how come I came up with this course is after I transitioned to being a coach, at some point I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I worked with tech leads, and I noticed that the ones that are at the beginning, they are not really clear. They are overwhelmed and they are not clear. They just do what everybody says they need to do. And they take that this is the role. And when I asked for feedback, I had especially one of the clients, and I was with him during the transition for 3-4 months. He said that was the greatest thing, like looking at doing the assignment, going and having conversations and finding out what he's supposed to do. It set the boundaries. It's made the biggest difference. And this is how I came up with this. I have not done it when I transitioned. I did not ask what people expect of me. I just was thinking, well, they know better what this job is about, so I'm just going to do everything that they say. And yeah, that might overwhelm you. So it's important to know where are the limits of what you do, because we are human and we cannot do everything, even if we are willing to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's such an important point that a lot of people miss out on, is the job that you're doing, even though you've got the same job title, could be very different to somebody else that works in another company. The needs of the job could be very different.
Especially for tech lead. Like if we take the Scrum Master, it's pretty standard. You kind of know what are the ideas. If it's a tech lead, it's not. If you go in different companies, it's really different. The different expectations. Like somebody does more of project management, like yesterday. That's the expectation. Somebody is going to the client, somebody doesn't. It's really different. And you need to get clear on that. What is my role in this company, especially?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because maybe you were doing a tech lead role successfully in a particular company, but then you change team, you change company, or somebody else joins your team, and so the split of responsibilities changes. Like it's interesting because it's one of those exercises and one of those kinds of frameworks and assignments that you don't just do once and then forget about. You actually need to be asking those questions all the time, again and again.
I actually did not thought of that, and it's a good point. And I think when you change jobs might be even more frustrating because you already have done it in a certain way and that might have worked for you. And then you want to do it again here and they don't want that. They want something different. So there are some conversations in which you align. You need to align. You can bring your own things from the previous job in which you say that really worked. And then you have these conversations with your manager and you find out and you have an agreement in the end.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's not just about your desires for the role. It's about what does the team need from you? What does your boss need from you? It's a series of questions. One thing I forgot to mention in the intro for everybody watching this live, the reason we do these as a live stream instead of just a video on YouTube is you've got us here if you want to ask us questions. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, please ask a question. This is your opportunity to, get to know us, get to ask about this content, get to, ask us what we would do in your particular situation. Please feel free to post a comment on LinkedIn or YouTube. We'll see them, we'll respond to them. If you're watching this after the fact, then we'll talk about how you can do that afterwards. We don't want to leave you without the ability for us to answer your questions. But if you're watching this live, this is your time to ask the questions. So, Andrea, what did you struggle with the most? Like when you made this transition into leadership, what was the thing for you that you did that you shouldn't have been doing, or that you weren't doing that you should have been doing? And I'll give you my story with that. When I first moved into leadership, I started off being the person who answered all of the questions. So, because I built the software system myself from scratch, I was the person that knew exactly all of the lines of code did and what the different classes did and how they interacted. And so, when a piece of work came in, I knew exactly how to make that change. And so I would give the piece of work to somebody and say, change this line in this class, this line in that class, and it'll all work. Works great when you have a really small team in the short term. Doesn't work great when you have a large team or in the long term. And so, I learned very quickly that is a scaling problem for me as a leader and a scaling problem for my team, in that they got frustrated that they weren't being given the ability to come up with the solutions themselves. And I learned that, that separation between problem and solution, and how what my team needed from me was to give them the problems, but allow them to come up with a solution themselves. That was the thing that I struggled the most with.
Yeah, I get that. And it does resonate. It's something similar for me. And it's actually also part of the course. It's the coding expectations. Yeah, for me, it was, I just jumped into the role with all these different expectations, do reports, speak with the client, do that. And then I wasn't coding anymore. So I started working more and more. So I can code. Like I was at the end of the day, I was telling myself, but I have not done anything. Yeah. Because the transition when you become a tech lead, you don't get that satisfaction, especially in this job. You resolve a bug, you finish a task. I was useful. I've done a great job today. And as a tech lead, when you just mentor people or you just have conversations, at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, but I did not produce anything. I don't have an evidence. And then I was coding in the evening, or I was another thing I was taking, if somebody was not doing the complete task, I was just saying, oh, it's okay, I will finish it. And though I really coded a lot at the beginning just to get my satisfaction, just not to, I need to keep in touch with the code. And at some point, as the time, I realized I cannot do that. I need to choose what's more important. As you said, if the team is bigger, you cannot also code. And I was trying, I was taking a task and I was saying, now I'm a tech lead, I can choose the cool task. Well, I was choosing it and I was like, this is simple, but I couldn't do it. Like I had to give it to somebody else because I was constantly interrupted. I was constantly doing things and I just couldn't manage to do that. So I've learned the hard way that satisfaction comes differently. And yeah, I think the coding was for me.
That satisfaction thing is it's something that I think a lot of people will resonate with. It's you don't get that immediate feedback anymore, and it's not just the time horizon of that feedback. It's also the ambiguity of that feedback. You know, if you're an engineer and you write code, do your unit test pass? You know, it's pretty instant and it's pretty clear if your code does the right thing. But when you're a tech lead, how do you know? You know, how do you know if you're doing a good job? It's really challenging to get that signal that gives you the feedback you're doing a good job.
It's that realization that the job now it's about something different. And there are projects in which you can code sometimes 80%. If it's smooth, the team is working great. Sometimes it's 0%, and that's the role you need to accept. It depends on the project, it depends on the team. So I'm not saying don't code at all. I'm saying do it looking at the needs of the project.
Yeah, makes sense. So one of the sections in the training course, you talk about the unwritten responsibilities. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, what they are and why they're important to discuss and think about?
Yeah, it's so there are some common, if we look at the tech lead role, there are some common things for the role, like mentoring, making technical decisions, and refining, backlog, whatever it is. And the point of the idea of the course is to go and have conversations about what they expect of you, which is to make it as measurable as possible. Like, I expect you to do that and that and that, and you can write it down. Yeah, that is one side of it. And then what you are pointing to is the unwritten ones. And here it's just an idea. It's about who you want to be as a tech lead, who you want to be as a leader. And that your manager cannot tell you. That cannot be, even if they tell you, it cannot be imposed on you. It cannot be measured. You need to choose who you want to be as a tech lead. Who do I want to be for these people? And here is, when I say unwritten, it's actually the soft skills. And you can be aware of who you want to be, and it's fine. You need to grow, definitely. Like, there are skills that can be developed. It's just to be clear how you want to lead. It's not something that it's part of the course because it's the leadership and the communication skills, but I do mention them because they are part of the role.
Yeah, even if you're a tech lead of a small team, you still need to be a great communicator. You still need to, understand your team and have empathy. Like as soon as you got that tech lead hat on, those skills start being important, and there's no way to avoid them.
And it's human to react, it's human to get upset, and it's important to learn how to deal with those things yourself when you get upset, when others. Yeah, this is the part, and you cannot write it down. So that you cannot make it an agreement. I won't get upset. You cannot promise something like that. So that's the part that you cannot measure it. It's up to you. You need to be responsible, and you need to work on yourself with different courses, with coaching, with whatever you choose. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. One of the questions in that section of the training course you encourage people to ask themselves is, do you need to be the best technical person in the team? So this is a challenge for a lot of people. Can you talk about like why it's a challenge for people, and what do you encourage people to how do you encourage them to think about it?
Yeah, actually, I'm running a pilot right now. A tech lead accelerator is called, and one of the things it's tell me the question again.
Do you need to be the best technology person?
Yeah, and I just wrote a post yesterday. It's okay to be rusty at coding. Yeah, the idea, but it's usually when we get promoted, it's based on you are good technical. Not necessarily. I'm not saying it's happening under 100%, but you're the best technical person in the team, and then you think you always need to be as a tech lead, but the role is about something else, and you will become rusty at coding. You will not know how to help them. And it's that if somebody asks you and you say, my job is to mentor them, and you don't know, you might feel ashamed. I was like, I should know, I'm the tech lead. Oh my God, they expect that. When actually, in fact, well, now these days you can just, did you ask ChatGPT? That was like, I don't know. It's fine. I don't know. It's to accept that and to give them direction. I know this person can help you. I know this person can help you. And it's really challenging when you have more experienced developers in your team. And it happened to me when I was a tech lead. I had, I think, developers that were like 20 years older than me. And I was confusing my role with the experience. I was like, well, they have so much experience, so I don't have the right to tell them what to do or to ask if they have finished because I'm smaller. That's not true. My job as a tech lead, it's not to be better than them. And definitely I can grasp what they are doing. It's just to manage that. I'm accountable to know it's happening. And I can have this conversation with them. And I'm like, I respect you. I get your experience. You're doing a great job. I have a meeting and I need to know where we are. I need to know if we need more time. So it's the difference between your technical expertise is not at question when you are a tech lead. You do need to have the overview, to know the software that you are working on, of course, the technical part, but you don't need to be the best. It would be great to have the people that are the best. Yeah. You can count on them.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The way that I phrase the difference, and I really like the way you phrased it. I'm gonna steal some of that wording that you've used, but the way that I phrase it is there's a difference between having the answer to the question and making sure the question gets answered.
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
And the transition to tech lead is moving from one of those to the other. So when you become the tech lead, you might not know the answer to the question, but that doesn't mean you give up responsibility for making sure the question gets answered. Like, you still need to make sure the question gets answered. It just might not be you that has the answer to the question.
Yeah, I remember I had when we were meeting the tech leads in the company, and they were always talking about new technologies and things. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a bad tech lead. I don't, in my spare time, I don't research. Yeah. And I'm supposed to. And I realized I'm doing a great job, actually. Like, if you give me a new project with a new framework, I will adjust to that. I don't need to know it ahead. I don't need to know other frameworks if I'm not interested in. And I realized it's just a frustration because they were passionate about something that I wasn't, and it did not mean I'm not good at my job. Yeah.
I think as you gain experience, you also start to see that a lot of there's very few fundamentally different concepts in software engineering. You know, there's a lot of stuff that transfers between the different frameworks and libraries and languages and tool sets. Like there's a lot that's similar, and you can take a lot of what you've learned and transfer it over, and which makes it easier to pick things up, because you're not learning, say, MongoDB from scratch. You're learning the difference between MongoDB and DynamoDB.
Yeah, it's that algorithmic thinking that you already have.
Yeah.
Like I've done college, I studied computer science. I think I was still afraid I'm not good enough when I finished that, but I was, because I think from last year in high school I got that thinking because I had an exam, and that was it. Like you have that, and then it opens up everything. As you said, it's just the difference, and to know that you can do it. If you know Java, I'm sure you will learn Python and other things. It's just to be open, not to be attached of, oh, now I need only to do that.
Yeah, it also helps you scale as a leader. My last job at one, I was working for a consultancy, and I was the director of engineering, overseeing 100 and odd people, and they were spread across mobile development, web development, video game development, cloud infrastructure, UI UX, data architecture. There's no way that me as a leader can even know a vast amount about all those different areas, let alone being the best at all of those areas. Like you're setting yourself up for failure in your career if you set your benchmark as being, I've got to be the best at the technologies I work with.
Yeah, for sure. The level that you talk, it's already higher than the tech lead in which you have 7 people, or it's then I'm sorry, but no coding.
Yeah. This is a good segue to another thing that I found really interesting from the training course, and I'd love you to dig into this a little bit more. This is just one of the throwaway sentences that you say, and there's a difference between what your role is about and what others expect from you in your role. And I think there's a really interesting element there, because there's, you understanding what your role needs is one part of the equation, but then your team could want something different from you. Your team could want you to be the best technologist, and maybe your boss needs something else from you. Like what advice would you give to leaders who have done the really hard, difficult work of finding out what their role actually needs, but then there's a disconnect with what the people around them think the role needs?
Yeah, I talk about the difference between expectations and agreements. Like, as you said, somebody might expect from you to be the best technical person, and you're not, and that is not what is needed. You need to get out that expectation into a conversation. You can have conversations with your manager, with your team, and to ask, what do you expect from me? And they might not even know, because it's not something that they are aware of. Mostly there are the things that you say, but it's obvious that they need to be the best technical person. Those things, you need to get them out in a conversation and to ask, what do you expect? Do you expect me to do that and that and that? And you don't need to do everything that they expect. That's not the idea. You need to make an agreement and to say, look, I get that you expect me to do this and this and this. Actually, my role, and I will help you with this and this and this. And for this part, you can go to that person. Like I had a tech lead, they were saying everybody comes to them for when they don't know something technical. And they actually now they have lead devs, they have 2. And that was the idea. You need to communicate. Now they can go directly to that, to them, to those 2. They don't need to come to you anymore. But you need to communicate that, so you set expectations for the future. Even if they don't say, I expect you to be the best technical person, you can communicate. you can count on these 2 dev leads for your technical needs. I won't cover that. So you somehow you train them differently for these expectations. Either you find them, now that I'm talking, I realize you can find out in a conversation, or you can just communicate things and make it clearer. Because you're responsible in a relationship, you're responsible to deal with expectations if you want the relationship to work. It's not only, yeah, but it's not my job, I wash my hands. Yeah, but you want people to get that. You want to satisfy their needs. Even if you don't do that, somebody else needs to satisfy that need.
Yeah, I like that. I like that separation of like, it's not, it's your job to own the relationship in that sense and go like, it is my job to get those agreements settled and to kind of have that. It's not my fault that they have that expectation, but it's my responsibility to adjust that into an agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
good. I like that.
And it's this is a source of conflict. Like if you don't have those agreements, if you don't communicate, it leads to conflict. Like somebody in the pilot came in last session and said, Andra, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that conversation about agreements and expectations. I was in a meeting and I saw they were arguing and I knew what's the problem. I knew they had expectations, they weren't fulfilled, but they had no agreement around that. So it's a powerful thing to realize. And if you do it ahead with your role, this is what you prevent any upset. You can communicate to all the stakeholders. Guys, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. I'm happy to help or to tell you who's going to do that part. Pretty much that's the work.
Yeah, and that bit that you just said at the end is again really important. It's they still have that need. They still need somebody to go to for those things, and you're not giving up accountability for that need, but you're just redirecting that to somebody else. And I guess by phrasing it like that and having those conversations, that if that person that you've redirected to leaves the company or whatever, like you still again own the responsibility to get the question answered, in that you need to help them find an alternative person.
Or if that doesn't work, the relationship between the two of them, then it's okay, come to me and we will see what we can do to improve the relationship, to make it work. And as you said, if they don't support you with what you need, come to me, we can discuss, and you can be responsible that it's not just sending them there. It will take time. It's a transition, especially if they are comfortable telling you, well, I don't know, and they are not comfortable with the other person. There is a transition. You need a month, you need 2 months. You can still come to me. I can redirect you sometimes. So it's a kind of a flexibility at the beginning, but the final goal is to go 100%, even if it takes 2 months, is to take some stuff from yourself and give them to somebody else.
That's a really valid point of, the job title might be an instantaneous change in an HR information system. You go from one day being the senior engineer to the next day being the tech lead in some database somewhere. But the job you do, the way you do that job, your roles and responsibilities don't, change as instantaneously as that. And there's the stated roles and responsibilities, but also these expectations that people have from you that take a while to change.
When I jumped into this role, like my tech lead called me and he said, I need to go to another project, you take over. And I thought next day I was a tech lead, I thought I kind of have an idea of what he was doing. I had no clue. Like I was just seeing the surface of like just the interaction he had with me, with the team, maybe with the engineering manager, line manager, but that was it. So I had expectations and then I realized, wow, it's more to it than that. And then, yeah, that's why it's important to have those conversations. Yeah, I took it on the role. And then you react to it. And then you say, I want to be an engineer again. And it is a reaction. Sometimes it is a reaction. Like you need to take a few months to say, this is not for me. But there's a reaction. I've done that, many. And it's okay. Like I was saying in a post, you're doing a great job. We all go through that. It's so overwhelming because you with your code, one-on-one, maybe a bit of interaction with others. It's really a personal thing. And then you go to all these interactions, all these things that people expect from you. And it's overwhelming and it's natural and nobody expects you to perform. I expect it from myself, but that's just perfectionism. Everybody expects. But yeah, that's the idea. Start with this conversation to make your life, to enjoy your job, to work, to have boundaries. It's not everything. It's not you, the tech lead. It's part of who you are.
Yeah. I had a very similar situation where I was a leader of leaders, so I had tech leads reporting to me, and I got a promotion, and one of my tech leads stepped into my role, and they sent me a message about 3 days after they'd started their new job, and they're like, I didn't realize what you did all day. And now I see it. It's there's so much stuff that I just didn't see, and now I'm seeing like why all the things in the thing, the way they were, and all the jigsaw pieces started kind of falling into place for them. And I think it's really hard to have those jigsaw pieces fall into place until you've actually been there, because part of the job we do is to protect our team sometimes from that. We can have I'm sure we can have like a 3-hour debate on the upsides and downsides of protecting a team, but nobody would argue that no protection is needed. We always need to protect the team in some way. Cool. I can't believe that we're rapidly approaching the top end of the hour. So I do want to encourage people again, if you are watching this live, this is the perfect opportunity to ask a question. I know if my usual audience is Australia based, and this is the end of the day there. That's got to be the reason for the lethargy people. But please ask some questions. I've hopped myself up on caffeine to get through this. So we.
For me, it's 8 a.m. So.
Yeah, I know it's funny. It's so weird. I've been in Australia 10 years at this point, and the time zones still get me. I think
with Europe.
Yeah, it's not fun. I've got clients that are East Coast US, West Coast US, Europe, East Coast Australia, West Coast Australia, New Zealand. It's it's pretty common that I'm on calls at both ends of the day, and it's never fun.
I'm a big fan of tennis, so I watch championship, and I know all these changes, because if it's an Australian Open, we cannot watch that. Yeah, I need to wake up during the night, or I'm really aware of all the time zones as they go through the year playing tennis.
It's there's because of the difference between the seasons as well, because Australia goes into summertime when Europe is leaving summertime. Like it changes from like an 11-hour difference to a 9-hour difference, and it's like it's not fun to deal with that at all. Okay, so my last question is pretty much around you, Andrew, and the work you do. Like we touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but why did you get into doing this stuff? Like you were a tech lead, you had a career that was a technology career, and you were in the industry. What made you want to help from the outside? Like what about that kind of transition to helping people internally to helping people externally kind of appealed to you?
Yeah, I was passionate about self-development. That's when I was saying I wasn't reading about technology in my spare time. That is what I was doing. And I've done trainings in communication, leadership, and I've done a 2 years long program. I was flying to London every month, and great, like a great training, a team management and leadership training. And in the second year, I had the opportunity to coach those in the first year. And I just loved it, like the connection with people. And I got the feedback that I'm doing great. And then I said, let's check out what's with this coaching. And then I've done a course, and I said I can get myself certified as a coach. I want to know what being a coach means in the world. And I've done this training. I was still working. I took some days off to do the training. And during the training, we are actually coaching each other. And I've realized that this is what I want to do. Like, I'm passionate about it. I love writing code, but I'm passionate in this connection with people and seeing how I make a difference for them. And I've realized I'm scared. Like, I'm like, oh my God, the finances, everything. How can I do that? And I spoke with my husband. We made the plan, and I said, okay, I'm going to work for a few more months, and then I will go for it. It did not go as I expected, of course. Expectations, yeah. But yeah, it's what I love to do now. I still work a bit on my website or things, but and sometimes I'm just like, wow, I miss that. But yeah, this is what I do now, and I love this part.
I think it's common to miss the things you're not doing more of, and still, but you still love the thing you're doing more of. Like I'm the same. Like I'm a nerd. I learned to write code when I was before high school, and I've been writing code for longer in my life than I've not been writing code. It's more a part of
Yeah,
me
same
than
for me. I think in fifth grade I started. Yeah.
yeah. And so I love doing it, and one of the reasons why I do Tech Leaders Launchpad is because I can tickle both sides of that as of me as a person. I code the platform that is Tech Leaders Launchpad, and it's not a big part of what I do, but it's enough, and it makes sure that I'm still writing code from time to time. I'm still enjoying that software side of stuff that I love, while I spend the other 80% of my time,
Yeah.
doing the stuff that I love even more, which is, like you said, helping
And I
support.
think it's really important. When I started as a tech lead, I did not know that there are courses or things. It's really important, this part of communication and leadership and clarity. It's like it really makes a difference on how you do the job. And I'm sure there are so many that just go back to being a software engineer just because it was too overwhelming. And then I never want to do this again. So I
Yeah.
better become an architect. And it's actually because that lack of awareness that this is what is happening these are the challenges, and it's okay. And you can get the support to go through them.
I can't remember if we've spoken about this in one of our many chats, but a statistic that always amazes and depresses me is when you look at the research, the average amount of time between when somebody is first promoted into a leadership position and them getting training on leadership of any sort is 10 years. The average amount of time, and that just blows my mind. Like,
I
can you
think it was
imagine?
for me the same. I think I'm in that statistics. I've just done
Yeah,
some stuff with personal, but not
yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah. And if we think about that in any other, can you imagine being made a software engineer and not given any training for 10 years, or a mechanic or a doctor or a psychiatrist? It's just this idea that leadership is just something that you can pick up along the way. Like, yes, you can, but it takes you a lot longer than if you kind of put the time in to learn
Yeah.
this and you're given the
It's
training.
not it's not that tangible. I was mentioning that I see two kind of people. The ones that, yeah, but I know how to communicate. I know, yeah, I know leadership. So they think they don't need any help. And then there are the other ones. I was that. I'm not good with communicating.
Mm.
I'm good technical. Like I was really, if you give me code, if you give me mathematics stuff, I can sort. If you make me talk about something, I'm not good. I'm not clear at expressing myself. And I thought this is who I am and it's not possible to change that. So I think that's one of the reasons why they don't even go and search for, oh, what could I do about that? Is because they think I already know or I cannot fix this. Like there is something to fix. Yeah. This is who I am. When it's actually for both, I would say do a training.
Yeah, because it's amazing, the amount of people that think they're a natural 8, but they're actually a natural 5 or a 6. It's the
Yeah.
Dunning-Kruger effect type thing, isn't it? You're not aware of your own ignorance sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, either you start up and then it goes down. Oh my God, how come? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
either way, it helps just to see what the participants are saying in the program. It's just great to see other tech leads, what they do, the struggles. Like they have the same struggles, or maybe they have different struggles, but it's just great to experience that, to see this is happening for somebody else, so it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we are at the top of the hour, and as always, this just amazes me every single time that we get here so quickly. Andrea, thank you very much for joining me. It's been an amazing chat. I've enjoyed every moment of it. You post on LinkedIn all the time. You have some amazing posts, so I do encourage everybody watching to go follow Andrea on LinkedIn for definite.
Thank you. It has been great. Always a
Awesome.
pleasure to chat with you.
Always. If you've enjoyed this, there's a couple of links I want to share with you. One of them is my LinkedIn profile. So if you scan that QR code, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I do these live streams regularly. I do them every month or so, but I also post regularly as well on all tech leadership topics. And I also have a newsletter where I kind of collate the stuff that I found interesting around the internet. Articles, books, other videos on YouTube, conferences, things that really I think help make people better tech leaders, and I share them in a monthly newsletter. It's also, that newsletter is also the best place to find out where I'm physically going to be in person. We were talking in the beginning how I tend to be on a plane more often than I'm not on a plane, and that's definitely true over the next few months. I'm going to be in Melbourne, Oslo, Wellington, Auckland, Brisbane, Sydney. I'm going to be all over the place. So if you're interested in meeting up in person, definitely subscribe to the newsletter so you can find out where I'll be. And I love to chat about this stuff. People stop me on the street all the time and just ask me questions, and it makes me so happy. I love helping people. As for the live stream, we're going to change the format of the live stream a little bit, because I've been getting a lot of feedback from people that they want more interactivity, more questions. So going forward on the live stream, we're going to split the live stream into 2 sections. We're going to have the guests like we've always had, because I love sharing people like Andrea who have amazing experiences and thoughts to share with you. But we're also going to have the second half of the live stream being a Q&A. And we're going to do that as questions that have been solicited prior to the live stream that I will read out on the live stream. So definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message on LinkedIn, email me, andrew@techleaderlaunchpad.com, if you've got any questions you want to ask. And I will make sure that I get through as many of them as I can in the last half hour of the live stream. And whichever guest I have, I'm sure will love to chip in as well. So once again, Andrea, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody at home.
And if somebody has questions about the course, I'm happy. Like just message me on LinkedIn or add a comment, and I will happily respond.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's always great to have the trainers, you know, answer any questions or get clarifications. It's a great thing of this connecting people to the trainers. It helps a lot more than just these videos that you never kind of get to see the people. That's one of the things I try to encourage. Cool. All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.